Parke County, Indiana is well known for its beautiful covered bridges. The covered bridge capital of the world, Parke County is home to 30 covered bridges, more than any county in the United States. But it wasn't a covered bridge that Midwest Living magazine featured to promote this year's Parke County Maple Fair. It was another legendary Parke County tourist attraction, Archie Foxworthy. I shot this video of Archie playing the banjo using a hickory nut as a pick in 1981. Archie's good-natured humor conveyed through his stories, songs, and poems have made him Parke County's other unforgettable tourist attraction. Archie and his family have been producing maple syrup since 1950 at this 100-year-old sugar camp.
Started out making syrup here, and I was selling for, $6 a gallon when I started. Yeah, I'm getting 20 for it now.
The first time I met Archie Foxworthy was in 1979. I was a news photographer for WTTV Channel 4 in Bloomington and was doing a story on making maple syrup. My wife Kathy and I went to the Parke County Maple Fair, and while she held the microphone, I taped Archie talking about making maple syrup.
How long it'll last? Last year we made it run for about 5 days. It took me 10 days to boil it up, and I made about 200 gallons.
A couple of years later, I had the privilege of taping Archie 2 more times as part of a National Endowment for the Humanities project that I was working on.
So if you got pretty sweet water, I can make 3 gallons an hour. Now that way I don't have to work overnight. Now I'm boiled way late like I used to. That's where I used to make up all my poems, sitting out there by myself. Way after midnight, just me and the dogs, think about this, that, and the other, and that's when I made up my poems.
Another poem?
Have I got another? Yeah, I'm full of them.
All right.
You want to hear another?
Sure. Yeah.
I'll tell you one about fishing. Goes something like this. There warm in the sunshine, on the bank of a creek, sat an old man and a boy, side by side, a-fishing, with a string for a line tied to a crooked stick. The old man had been telling the boy stories. He had just told him a tale. He had just told him the story about Jonah and the whale. The boy says, "Grandpa, how's come you know all these good stories and you say they're all true? You don't go to church or even Sunday school?" The old man smiled. He said, "Boy, you're right, it's true. I don't go to church like I should or Sunday school, but I read God's holy Bible, and I try to live by his rules." There warm in the sunshine on the bank of the creek sat the old man and the boy side by side a-fishing, with a string for a line tied to a crooked stick. The boy said, "Just thinking about reading that big Bible sure seems fine. But when it comes to reading all that big book, Grandpa, I just ain't got the time." The old man said, "Boy, you don't have to read all that big Bible at once. You don't have to read that big book right straight through. Tomorrow I'll tell you what. We'll just take a few minutes and we'll just read the 10 Commandments. They'll tell you what to do. And then the next day we'll just read another chapter or 2, and that'll give you a good start. And if you'll just keep that up, you'll never see the inside of a prison wall or even be afraid of a night when it's dark." There warm in the sunshine on the bank of the creek sat the old man and the boy side by side a-fishing, with a string for a line tied to a crooked stick.
After seeing Archie's picture in Midwest Living magazine in January, my wife said we had to go to this year's Maple Fair to see Archie again. Kathy's teaching colleague, Mark Helmsing, joined us on the trip.
Well, today we're in Rockville at the Parke County 4-H building, and my belly's full after a heaping plate of pancakes and sausage. Why pancakes and sausage? Well, today is the Maple Syrup Festival, where local syrup farmers have tapped their maple trees for the best syrup in the Midwest. If you look around, you can see local artists and craftspeople selling some of their art and crafts from the previous years, and also syrup farmers have set up booths where their syrup is for sale all around the perimeter of the 4-H building. So we're going to check out some of their syrups maybe visit even one of their farms and see what some of the local artisans have made for us today. Is that a local house that you're drawing?
No, this is in Prairieton. If you've ever heard of Prairieton.
I haven't.
Know where Terre Haute is?
At the Parke County 4-H building, we learned that the sugar camp at Foxworthy's would be open that day, but their 1862 schoolhouse had burned 2 days before the first weekend of this year's Maple Fair. Once we got to Foxworthy's, we witnessed the sad remains.
So it was Wednesday the 20th, about 7:20, when we had a chimney fire.
Mary Foxworthy has been married to Archie for 66 years.
And my granddaughter runs in like a deer and never said a word. I thought she was going to the bathroom. And then she called her dad as soon as she called 911, and she said, "Grandma, your schoolhouse is on fire." And I said, "Oh, Kim." And it just went up. By the time the volunteer firemen got together from Marshall and their suits on and everything, it was just gone. I worked with that with a purple passion to get that restored. I've just put my heart and soul into it. Everybody's been so kind and so considerate, and people were crying. I couldn't believe, they've been coming here so many years that they were just flabbergasted that it was gone, And us being in the Midwest magazine, we've brought a tremendous amount of people to Parke County. I hope we can rebuild, but without help, we can't. He's gone on 93, and I'll be 83 in July.
Archie had told me about the schoolhouse in 1981.
Well, we come up to this Maple Fair, and they'd bring chartered buses out here. My wife, she wanted to have a building to sell out of. So I bought a little building, and she was in there doing all right, but so many people come in, nobody go out. She didn't even have room to turn around with a cup of hot sassafras tea without scolding somebody. So she wanted me to move that old schoolhouse to where it's sitting now out there. I used it to make my jams and jelly for the Covered Bridge Festival all the time, and store stuff in. And in the spring of the year when we have our Maple Fair, why, my wife uses that for a sales room. Then my oldest boy, he sells sassafras tea and coffee. My daughter, she bakes maple syrup cookies. And my boy's mother-in-law, she sells candy and stuff. And I sell books up here, cookbooks for the church. Everybody sells in there. They kind of got me crowded over in one corner now. And that's about the story of the old schoolhouse.
We bought this 1862 one-room schoolhouse, which was the oldest building in Parke County to my knowledge. They pulled it down here on logs with horses. It was behind our big ancient barn. And so when we started making maple in '53, the little tiny building that's just up here from the sugar house, I cooked the food, my sister sold it, and I sold on the outside. Well, one year it sleeted, it rained, I took stuff in and out. So I told Arch, I said, I will quit unless you get me a building. And I said, we've got this antique schoolhouse that should be restored, and you can do it. He was working at the coal mine, we were farming. We only had 80 tillable acres, which didn't help much, and he said, oh, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it, it'd be too much work. I said, if men can tunnel under the mountain, this building can be restored and brought up here. It was brought up here.
When we decided to bring it up here and make a sales room out of it, we jacked it up and cut 2 big shagbark hickory trees for runners and put it down on them. And at that time I was running a big bulldozer, and we hooked that dozer on and drug it up to where it was setting, and got out there and it started sinking down in the ground, and the dozer wouldn't pull it any further, so that's
where it ended up, huh?
Yeah, we was aiming to bring it plumb out by the sugar house,
Though she lost her precious schoolhouse, Mary was still able to sell her jams, cookies, and syrups in her grandson's garage next door to the sugar camp.
We had 2 days to get ready. So I think we've done pretty good.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it.
Yeah.